Oh, I'm streaming. Okay, so I'm streaming, and the first thing I do when I stream is always the same. I go to my channel and pull up my live stream, make sure everything's working, and indeed, it seems to be. And then what I do is I mute it. Okay, so somebody just texted me, so let me just check real quick. Okay, cool. Alright, so where are we at? Which is the question I always seem to ask. The reason I'm streaming tonight, by the way, is just because I don't want to take the time to upload the video. And so the last time we got the timing blocked in for this sequence pretty satisfactorily, as I recall. If we put a stop marker there and hit the L key, yeah. Okay, so he definitely moves that slowly, and then he stands up. Okay, so now what we want to do is kind of rock and roll on putting the tightening the drawings up, you might say. Okay, and ultimately I definitely want to have each of the, I'm just moving that out of the way in case I need those keyframes later. Alright, so let's hit a B key here and call this Akari. What I was about to say is I'm definitely going to put each of the three characters in their own level, because through much of the sequence, one character or the other isn't really moving at all, so there's no point in. So we're really going to have four steps total here when we're done. Step one's going to be to go ahead and use a raster level to just get these characters drawn and tightened up. Step 2 will then be to ink them, and step 3 will be, of course, to do the paint. So what I'm actually leaning towards doing going forward is using very bold, vibrant colors. Have a palette for the characters that would suggest really good lighting, really good daylight or whatever. And then any tinting having to do with time of day or that sort of thing, we'll just deal with as a post effect, as opposed to trying to manage a whole bunch of different palettes, which really does seem to make sense, because at the end of the day you wind up using pretty much one effect to tint the whole scene anyway, like the whole previous sequence. And this one, as a matter of fact, really takes place at night, so the way the stuff will be colored and the way it'll look when it's all said and done aren't going to actually match that well. So that's okay, we don't mind. So what are we going to do here? Well, probably step 1 would be to go ahead and turn this down so it just serves as a guide. And now I'm starting to second guess myself. Why am I going to do... Well, actually, let me bring up this other thing. I was looking at Akari's character sheet. So this is one of those things where you sort of have to think about this as you go. And we've got these different pictures of her, and obviously the hair's wrong because she's, well, number one, she's obviously irritated, but number two, she just got woke up. So I think I see the one problem is basically in her cheekbone. So that's something I want to be aware of. We can't go changing our characters' designs on the fly. So I'm thinking that this should, let me just look at this again. Yeah, she's got the square, squarish jaw going on, but then in all these, like right there, you see her cheek kind of pops out below the eye. So actually I've got this wrong. This should I'm gonna blame this on dyslexia. This should be so easy, but I actually have to I have to think about it. That's kind of annoying. Accidentally opened up GIMP. So hello. So the B key. Yeah. So this comes around like that, basically. That's better. Well, nobody's really out tonight, looks like. So hopefully those that care can pick it up in the replay, right? Okay, so that would be her actual head structure, which suggests that probably her hair should be bigger. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, that's not too... So that's what's kind of missing here, is that element right there. Just... yeah. I actually wonder... I mean, this is one of those things that if you're gonna change it, do it now and get it over with. Frankly, methinks yes. Let me kill that. Yes, that's the that definitely looks more like Akari. So problem solved. Cool beans. I want to definitely give her the big hair here. So it's like this is my opportunity to sort of fix the things that weren't quite right in the sketch. So do it now or forever hold my peace, right? So there's that. Her sexy little nightie. Neck. Okay, not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. So now the question is, should I jump straight to ink? And another question is, what are we going to do with that? Go ahead and cover her eye, but then do the traditional anime thing of putting the eyebrows on top. I think what we should do is let her eye sneak through. How we're going to actually pull that off with the ink and paint, I'm not yet sure, but that's what feels like it probably is how it should be, so I'll see if I can make it happen. That area there is probably going to be in shadow, I would say. So, as long as I'm here and being creative, I might as well block that stuff in. That'll serve as an even better guide. Yeah, because from her perspective, she's facing towards the window, so the light would be coming straight towards her. Right, righto. That's what I say. Yeah, I don't quite know how Val let that one get by, because the girl I had drawn did not look like Akari. She looks good. She just doesn't look like the character we designed, so. I think Valerie's been snoozing. I think she's sleeping on the job. That's what I think. Letting me get away with murder. Okay. So the question now becomes, do we want to go ahead and ink that sucker now? I think maybe, because this shot actually is just going to hold over a whole boatload of cuts. Trying to give her a little bit of that poof up on top with her hair. Okay. So I feel pretty good about the drawing. So let's just click there and hit the insert key, and then boom, let's hit tune raster level, and I'll just draw it to there because I know at this point it's gonna, well, okay, I guess I was wrong. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I turned this layer off, or level. Okay, so right here, I don't even know where her shot picks up again, but yeah, it's down a ways, but I'll just kill it there. So, okay, so here we've got Mr. Add Batitude. Since I'm here and I'm feeling frisky, I'll go ahead and draw Mr. Add Batitude with my pencil, even though I'm just going to wind up inking over it. So let's get this guy blocked in, just because doing so is fun. Well, I mean, it's kind of fun anyway. Okay. Okay, so now I want to think about volumes. As long as I'm here, I want to think about the curves of the flesh that would be actually happening here. And okay, so we got a little problem with his ear. Frankly, his ear is just a little bit big. Let me flip that. Yeah, that's okay. B. And by the way, which reminds me, because OpenToonz is so prone to explode just because you flip the canvas. So that's a good thing, because of that, flipping the canvas reminded me to save my work. You know the old adage, save early, save often, or you will regret it every time. Okay, what does this guy have? Oh yeah, he's got this band around his skull. Now, in all reality, this is a little too realistic, probably. You might say a little too comic booky. And that's not good. We can't have it be too comic booky. So what do I mean by that? Well, this anatomy right here looks like it was drawn by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, who was a comic book artist I remember I enjoyed back in the 80s. I don't know what he's doing now. I don't know if he's still around or what, but Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. And I mean, the guy was pretty good on the anatomy. I mean, he stood toe to toe with the best of them. You might see a shape like that out of a Gene Colan, maybe too, if you remember the old Dracula comic book. Okay, but for what we're trying to do, I don't think we want quite that much curvature. We want to make a little bit of a more simplified skull shape. So, you know, you could argue about whether this is actually better anatomy, and it may in fact be. But I guess that's why we redraw things, right? Because you want to get it right. Right. Okay, so let's roll out here just a little bit. This guy's anatomy, I don't even know if we ever see it. That guy.
Well, not there.
Well, that's what I mean. As far as this shot, in other words, this is all kind of noise that doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to see
Whoops.
it. Later.
let's all give Valerie a big hand for jumping in there and sharing sharing her thoughts. Always appreciate that. Okay. Oh, I'm serious. I'm not really being sarcastic. Maybe a little, just for fun, but I'm not being snarky or anything. Okay, so actually, this needs to kind of curve like that, because that comes over his... I don't know if that's quite selling it, but... Okay, so what's the problem here? This guy looks too nice. That's the problem. There we go. Much better. That looks more like the guy that, you know, was in the other shots. Okay. So now we got that. Now when we get here, presumably, let's see what goes on here. Yeah, it goes to the wide shot. So, if we're going to go to the wide shot, I don't have any idea how far down this goes, but I guess making these columns all like really long to start out with was kind of a mistake, wasn't it? And all the children say, yes, yes, Mr. Weiss, it was a mistake. Excuse me. Okay, I don't know what's supposed to happen there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to here and delete it. So, put it down. Humph. Okay, that's not bad. How are we doing on time? 18 minutes. We're cranking right along. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm actually going to mute this level, but this level I'm just going to turn down. Okay, and I'm going to go back to the tried and true inking style too. A little bit of smoothing, and let's just go ahead and... Okay, I didn't like that. Okay, I think I want a little bit of life to my line. Ah, you know what? I forgot. I was going to use vectors. What to do? Should I change my mind and use vectors? I'm going to do it both ways. Tonight, I feel like playing around a bit. See, the thing I gotta say is with the vectors, I definitely was starting to get a little bit addicted to the snapping. Like right here, the snapping makes it really easy to get good, solid, closed shapes. And you lose that with Toon's raster levels in exchange for a little more predictability when it comes to areas that are going to be filled. However, Alt F, I have been inking using this key combination, Alt F, so that I can monitor when I have closed shapes using the venerable fill check tool, which works pretty well. You see, so it very courteously shows me. There's the problem with it right there. So now I have to turn it off so I can get all these shapes in there. When you're inking, the thing you got to remember is all lines are one of three things. They're either a C, an S, or a straight line. S, C, 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 C. Why is that not showing as a closed shape? Oh, because I turned the fill check off. Okay, cool. Alright, now, remember though, there's one thing we got to keep in mind, which is that her mouth is going to be animated. So therefore, it would be a bit silly to put her mouth on the same level. Okay. This is definitely going to be hard to implement because I don't know. Maybe I don't need to elaborate. Once we get to the point of dealing with this from an ink and paint standpoint, what I'm going to have to do, what I'm trying to say here is, I'm going to have to put a line right here so that the hair kind of goes. Oops, I don't want the brush or the paint brush. I want the regular drawing brush. Okay, I think that'll do the trick. So, that came out pretty well. Here, I'm going to go ahead and just lay this over top of the hair. And then I'm going to go back in and do some judicious erasing. Let me crank that down to like 5. And what I'm going to erase is this. Now, I don't know about you, but I actually like this, what I'm doing right now. I like this kind of work. Real detailed, just get in there. It's a little... I used to not like it. I used to find it tedious, and I don't really anymore. I think it's... a lot of the quality of the work happens in that seeming tedium. Okay. Oh yeah, I guess I do need to put in something to indicate her nose. I can go back and erase it later if I want, but for now I'm just going to put one line. Yep, that'll do the trick. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and put this in here, even though for sure it's going to get erased, just because it's nice to be able to see a mouth. And I don't want to mess with additional levels. Now, I can see the thing that is exactly what I was afraid of. This, we don't want this to look like the old... the fact is, let's be honest, there were times when their quality control was less than stellar. Let's put it that way. And I know this is true because I was actually watching an episode of He-Man just a couple hours ago. Why? Friends, I don't know. I was a little bored. I'm like, whoa, what am I going to do? And I had like a few minutes to kill. And I just want to confess that I did, in fact, watch a little bit of an episode of He-Man right here on YouTube. So, there you go. There, I said it. I'm on record. I really did it. Okay. So there's the Toons raster version. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the vector version. I really have been kind of feeling like, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Stop. Hit the insert key. And now let's do the vector thing. And I'm just going to erase this and start from scratch. Now, my approach to inking with vectors is just completely different. Completely different than the way I approach with a Toons raster level. Because you could do this, you could draw your lines like that, but you know what? It's a pain. Now, let me check something here. If I hit the G key and I do an arc, I think it doesn't work correctly with my tablet. So I would go here. Yeah, it's screwy. Bad. And I have to... okay. Let me just look at this again. Now it seems to be working after I did the first one. That's weird. Well, that's cool. Oh, there it died again. Okay, let's try this. Nope, it won't do it. Yeah, so for some reason with the with the with my XP Pen Artist tablet, which usually works absolutely perfectly, with the tunes vector levels, for some reason, at least on this computer, because it doesn't, the other computer has the same tablet, the one in the studio, it doesn't seem to have this problem, but the XP Pen Artist, the Arc tool doesn't work. So what are we going to do? Well, let's do polylines. Okay, so this, like I said, this is a whole different approach to inking. I'm going to do it like this. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. Let's stop there. Okay, C key. Let's just do a little tweaky poo. Right? So that's what I'm doing. It's a completely different approach than, because with the tunes raster level, you're drawing it. I'm not even trying to draw it. I'm really looking at it. Hey, Oxer, how you doing, man? I'm looking at it as it's more like modeling. It's actually like working in a 3D application where you're just, it's a mechanical process, very much so. All right, so boom, and then I just hit the C key and just start dragging these guys around like that. It's fast. It looks great. And here's the reason I really have gotten kind of enamored of this approach, is that when I go to, okay, I can't do that. I got to turn these guys all off. Turn off, turn off, turn off. Let's turn off everything. Okay, what I like about it is then I can go in here and go into the vector settings, and some of these, okay, let's go here to our vector layer. Okay, and what I've found is some of these different vector effects give it a really nice, you know, it gives it a nice hand-drawn look, even though it was kind of done mechanically, as I said. So I figure that's a win, because the final image quality is really tight and really crisp. I like it. So instead of even trying to draw the ink lines, I'm gonna do it mechanically, just like this. Here we go. Ready? Click, 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 boom, boom. Hey, where's my snapping? Oh, you stupid thing. Cool. That worked. Alright, hit the C key. Draggy poo, draggy poo. Just pound those babies into shape. You know, and if you wanted to, you could use the tire pump and, you know, put some variability in the lines. But for this project, for that anime look, I'm finding I'm getting better results by just using a vector brush and keep the lines uniform. So, okay, so let's pause a moment and see what Oxer's got to say. I've been using the tune raster level for sketch and the vectors are finished. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. Although I almost always use the regular raster levels for the, like the pencil art, if you will, is excuse me, sorry, plain old raster levels. Okay, up to Clip Studio EX. I know, Oxer, you're talking about Clip Studio. I'm telling you, man, I got a friend, a professional comic book artist, Kanan White. He's a diehard Clip Studio guy, so I can't say it's not the bomb, but when I've tried to use it, I have not enjoyed it very much. Let's just put it that way. And so, actually, you know what? I'm going to do that like I just did that. What if I drag? Okay, hold on. That kind of behaves like the... Okay, I would have to... Yeah, that does not behave as expected. So I'm going to just put the line in. Just going to do it in 2 steps. Who cares? Maybe here I'll go ahead and hit the B key. No, I don't know. Maybe if the range goes from like 1 to maybe 5. Let's turn smoothing way up because I only want to use it when there's a really good reason to. So yeah, that's fine. We can use it for that because it's quick. Hoping to finish the first 2 beats before the end of the year. Dude, I expect you to finish the first 2 beats before the end of the year because you've been talking about this thing for a while and I want to see it, man. I want to see what it's all about. I'm just razzing you, man. Okay, we got Snap-on. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Okay, so I actually think maybe I want to go to 2. Click. Draw that. Okay, so here I am doing what I said I wasn't going to do, and I'm using the brush tool. Okay, obviously that was completely stupid. Oh yeah, I know what I can do. I'll draw, but straight line. There we go. Now I can hit the C key, do the same thing I was doing with the polyline. I think I'll do that again. Let me see how that works. Okay, that did not work. So you have to go, you got to start drawing and then hit the shift. All right, then hit the C key. Okay, so the only advantage to that is it does put a little bit more life into the outlines because it is actually registering some pressure. So that could be a good thing, could be a not so good thing. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, now what I don't want to do. See, actually, this is kind of interesting. One thing I hadn't really thought too much about was how I'm going to do the shading in the vector levels. Okay, we're going to have to either use the... Okay, I better read Oxer's notes here. Lines are not that clean for me in OpenTunes. I do have 4 beats for the animatics done. I only started around Thanksgiving, so almost 3 weeks. Don't know if you have a portable tablet and a good stylus. Yeah, I have the... Come on, I talk about it all the time. I have the XP Pen Digital Artist 15.6. That's my tablet. And oh, you mean like a portable tablet, like an iPad, something where you can cartooning on the road kind of thing? Not really. Just my laptop with a traditional Wacom tablet. So, yeah, Flip a Clip. I've played around with Flip a Clip. It's, it's okay. I can't really criticize it. All right, so. Okay, so what I was getting at earlier before I stopped to read the messages is that the vector levels are a little more persnickety when it comes to the normal techniques for doing shadows. Okay, so meaning that as far as I can tell, at least the last time I checked, this setting, auto paint for lines, that causes you to be able to fill in area and it erases the lines. So usually you'll use blue or red for that. It doesn't work in the vector levels. It just simply doesn't work. If somebody else feels differently, feel free to disagree. But whenever I've tried to use it, it literally doesn't work. So I'm not going to want to depend on that. Now, that's not a big deal because if you think about it, auto paint for lines is well, you can always just paint the lines in the color you're going to use for the shadow, and there you've solved your problem. But the other way to do it is to either create a plastic tool level and which I've covered in another video, and sort of lock the shadows to your character that way, clip the shadows, or actually just do a post effect where you'd use a multiply with clipping, and then you put your shadows on and just do all your shadows that way. So that's a good way to do it. I'm gonna do this kind of briskly. Oopsie poo, that won't work. So let's hit the erase tool, but let's really bring this down to like couple pixels. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so this is what I really don't enjoy. I don't really want to spend a bunch of time doing, you know, sort of touching it up. I better hit the Alt F. Yeah, everything shows it's fillable, so that's good. Okay, so let's do this, and let's kind of do the same thing right here. Erase. And there were eye. What did we do? I mean, do we put the eye? I think we just put the eye on top. We may change my mind later, but my sense is that that would be the way to go. Now this is a cardinal sin right there. That's the cardinal sin of animation. Having a coincidence like that where the lines just happen to be in the same spot. That doesn't happen in the real world. You can't be doing that stuff, man. Okay. Whoa! Oxer is posting quite a few things. Alright, Flip a Clip, good animation tool for ideas. Yeah, if I really want to have like a quick and dirty animation tool for ideas, I'm going to use either PAP, Krita, Blender, or more likely, lately, I just use OpenTunes for everything. Well, exactly. That's what I was saying. If you just do a standard vector lines, to answer your question, Oxer, this is what you get. Okay? And a lot of care is required to wind up having lines that, how do I say it, that are going to look the way you want the lines to look. However, with OpenTunes, happily enough, you got this tab here called Vector, which is all these vector effects. And when you apply these vector effects, well, I don't want to show the preview because I have to go in and turn a bunch of tracks off. But there's a lot of different vector effects you're probably aware of, little particle type things. But anyway, I just chose this one, and it just gives the lines a sketchy, human quality. And if you hit Alt F, you can see all the shapes are still fillable, so it doesn't really screw up your coloring, although it looks like it would, because if you zoom in there, there's all these spaces. Well, the fact is that's actually, maybe not this one, but most of these, they are still qualified filled shapes, if you will. So who knows, we may bump into some issues once it gets time to do the paint, but for the moment I'm just kind of forging ahead. So insofar as quality goes, Toons Raster, Vector. I like the Vector. Boom, it's gone forever. I just deleted the Toons Raster level because I don't even want to think about it. Now, this, I think it's supposed to be there. Alright, how are we doing on time? Oh man, I've been going for 40 minutes? What are we saying here? Okay, it is on the second row. Well, let me actually, Oxer, let me tell you something. I tried a bunch of these vector effects, and this is kind of an important point about this. This one, it might have been this one that was the best. It doesn't change the lines that much, but what I'm getting at is it's very performant. So in other words, I can zoom in real fast, and you can see the sketchy effect. There. Okay, what are we doing here? Are we looking at the wrong level? Okay. Boom. Okay. So you can see they all have slightly different qualities to them, but what I want to point out is some of them are performant and some of them aren't. So if you pick the wrong, I think this one's pretty good that I'm using. It was the best balance of a real sketchy human look, but performant. Meaning, if you pick the wrong one, you're going to find when you're zooming in and out and stuff, all of a sudden your screen might slow to a crawl. Some of these are a little bit demanding, and I kind of found the one that was the happy middle ground. So just wanted to point that out, just so you know. Don't say I didn't tell you. All right, so now let's get a line in here for her nose. Okay, this doesn't do me any good because I'm not on the vector level. Boom. Okay, and I said I was going to go ahead and put these lines in just because, as I said earlier, I'm feeling frisky. Okay. Now, do the lines that go outside the camera view show as fillable? They do not. So that means I need to go 1, 2, and I can get away with this because this shot never gets used again. I mean, it doesn't. It's not like we're going to pull out and see the rest of her body or anything. So, cool. So I will tell you people, I definitely recommend assigning a hotkey to this fill check. I made it all F in my case. But it's really nice to be able to just go like this and see if your colors are going to fill or your shapes are going to fill properly. Okie dokie. Where are we at? Okay, I got to put this little line in her neck. And I think that's it for that shot. So that means I need to insert another level here. Turn this guy back on. And turn this guy back down. Like that. And now we're going to create a vector level again because that's what we're using for ink. And we're using it for ink and we don't want to think. Okay, so we're going from 1 to 2. Our accuracy, smooth, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so let's rock and roll and do this one fast. Should I use the G key? I don't know. Judging from the way Akari turned out, it doesn't seem to make much difference, especially once you add the post effect. I don't think I'm gaining that much by using the G key. So I'm just going to actually move really fast with plenty of smoothing on with my brush. So here we go. I definitely like the snapping. The snapping is sweet. It's just one less thing, as Forrest Gump would say. One less thing you gotta think about or worry about or fuss with. Oh, I don't like that. So and then that's actually going to be his wrap right there. So let's zoom in so we can keep moving fast. Going to the B key. Boom. Boom. Okay. We'll deal with the edges there. I know that's not going to fill cleanly. And in fact, this should actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go Control C, V. I know I'm going to regret this, but I'm going to go to color and just make this a little bit different color. I'm probably going to wind up having to just delete this. But because basically I'm doing stuff right now. I'm moving fast, so I'm not fully thinking through every step. So I'm bound to make mistakes, but that's okay. It's not like these mistakes cost that much time anyway. Okay, so we want to kind of get that a little more accurate to where. So this is where the snapping can really be a kind of a distraction. But anyway, there we go. Rock and roll, right? Not bad. So you have to switch over to vectors. Now, I know before you did. I know. Well, the reason I didn't like them is because number one, earlier builds of OpenTunes didn't work as well. It was buggy. So I've said repeatedly that kudos to Jeremy Bullock, because this build of OpenTunes is very stable. The performance of the vectors is way smoother, way more predictable than anything I've ever seen. And, you know, just generally, things are sort of working as advertised. So, you know, if they work, let's use them. That's what I say. All right, so B key. There we go. So that was quick and easy. And see, and what I'm saying is, when this renders, this is going to look really tight. You know, it's got a good clean line, and I can go in there. I can go ahead and just color it flat, and then I'll go in and deal with shadows on a separate layer, probably as a post effect in this case. So, yeah, I can tell you. I think it shows, this is the problem, they all show as being OpenTunes 1.2.1. So that's not helpful. It's, just look up Turtletooth. Look up Turtletooth, Jeremy Bullock. It could be that his changes found their way into the main builds by now, because it's been a few weeks. I got to sit here and think about what the big killer feature was that made me want this in the first place. I actually don't remember. There was something, again, because I'm moving fast here, I can't remember what it was. There was something about this version that was really, really a big improvement for me. So I'm going to just go ahead and wrap this around so that we know it's going to fill. Let's hit the Alt F, and we can see that we're going to have a good. So we got two really good drawings done. He's just going to kind of do a grunt thing. And then we're here. So you should turn that on. Probably, I mean, it's kind of muted. Obviously, we have to put the vase in. I'm not doing it because I'm going to decide. I may actually take a graphic from the 3D rendered vase and just drag that into the shot. I don't know yet. So. Okay, so now this shot, gosh, I'm almost thinking. Okay, there's a lot of action that happens on this shot. So I think I'm actually gonna, yeah, I'll put this in here for you, Oxer. Turtletooth, Jeremy Bullock. What the heck was it he called this build of OpenTunes? Okay, I did not mean to put all those stupid caps in there. Oh well, sorry, I'm not going to retype it. Okay, what was it he called this? Hang on half a second. Oh, but he's calling it OpenTunes Experimental. I'll be darned if I can remember what the killer feature was. I think it was that the first point was that the MyPaint brushes are now available in the Tunes raster levels, which means you can effectively use the MyPaint brushes with filling, with flood fills, because you can do it in a Tunes raster level. So you don't have to do it. But here's the problem. What I found when I fiddled with it and I was using the MyPaint brushes, I was finding that there was a lot of fiddling when it came time to do the color and fill things in. Because of slight areas of gray or alpha around the edges of the brush strokes, they wouldn't fill cleanly. And it was way more hassle to take a MyPaint brush, like the pencil that I like, to use that and try to fill it in a Tunes raster level turned out to be a major pain. And so I'm like, okay, there's got to be a better way. Well, I knew that the vectors in this version of OpenTunes were way more reliable, and so that's why I went ahead and experimented with using these different vector brushes. And I'm going, whoa, hold the phone. this looks really good. Because when you, when you look real close at the quality of these lines, they're quite nice. They're tight, yet they've got some life to them. So that's what I was after, and that worked for me. So anyway, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay, so dude, one thing I noticed when importing MP4, OpenTunes can delete the video file. It seems like a bug. Yeah, well, that would be a bug. I would definitely call that a bug. Here's what I have to say about that. If you want to bring an MP4 into OpenTunes, I addressed this in a video about 2 weeks ago. If you want to bring in an MP4 to OpenTunes, OBS, reconnect please. Okay, OBS just reconnected. Alright. Okay, so if you want to bring an MP4 into OpenTunes, don't do it. You will be sorry. You will lose work. OpenTunes will crash. It will be frozen for minutes at a time because of FFmpeg working in the background. My best explanation is when OpenTunes works with FFmpeg, it is not spawning a new process as if it were calling a command line program and just having it run in, completely separate program. That's how it should work. But no, FFmpeg and OpenTunes are in bed together. They're being intimate with one another. Well, guess what happens when you get intimate, especially when you really didn't need to be? It causes problems. You want to be careful who you get intimate with. And OpenTunes actually, as far as I can tell, doesn't really play that nicely with FFmpeg. So if you want to bring an MP4 into OpenTunes, just drag the MP4 into Blender and then render it out as an image sequence. You will thank me later. Okay? End of lecture. Okay, so now we're pushing an hour. So unfortunately, I got some other things I need to do, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I feel like we've made some good progress, though, getting this stuff tightened up, getting some of the inking going on, and it's been fun to answer a few questions. But for me, I got to putz on down the road. So anyway, tell all your friends to subscribe. I may get to that 1,000 mark here before too long. I think I'm in the 907 or something like that. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I will be back later. Yeah, Oxer, check you later, man. I can't wait to see the stuff you're working on.